You guys want to see how to start and scale your AI agency, whether you're at 0, trying to get to 10K, 10K trying to get to 20K, 20K trying to get to 50. I'm going to show you exactly what we did to not only scale one AI agency to over 600,000 cash collected, doing over 50K months, hitting 80K months, etc., but also starting a brand new agency about 2 months ago and collecting 25,000 with it, as you can see here. And these are the exact systems we used. And we haven't just used these ourselves. We've helped countless people also get to 10K, 20K, 50K a month with these exact systems. And I'm going to break it all down for you. So let's get right into this then. So there's 5 main things we're going to be going over. 1 is laying the foundation. 2 is crafting the offer and the assets. 3 is the lead generation machine. 4 is closing and fulfillment. And 5 is scaling and building the machine. So let's start with number 1 here, laying the foundation. This is where usually most people are going to be, right? Because most people don't even take action and start. So this is going to be where most people are. And so the first thing we're going to be doing is selecting your core offer. What are you going to be doing for these businesses? Are you getting them more appointments? Are you qualifying their leads? Are you onboarding their clients? Are you helping them with customer support? Are you doing AI reactivation campaigns? What's your main offer going to be? The best one that you're going to do that correlates with the most revenue for the business is you're going to want to get them more appointments, and lead qualifier kind of falls into that as well. And so for the new agency that we started, where we've done 25K in the first a little under 2 months here, is we're getting home service businesses more appointments. Very, very straightforward. We're running their ads, generating their leads, and getting them more appointments. Appointments is going to be the best one that you're going to be able to charge the most for, because every business wants more appointments, right? So that's going to be the best way to go. More leads, more appointments. That's the best way, right? That leads to more money for the business. If you're making a business 50K a month, you can charge 5K a month, no problem, right? And so that's why it's so important to pick something that is valuable to the business, which is why appointments is going to be your best bet. Picking the niche you're going after. There's a few things that you want to keep in mind, right? The niche itself, right? What industry do you want to target? Home service. Do you want to go after real estate? Do you want to go after marketing agencies, coaches, medical clinics, med spas, insurance companies? These are all good niches because they're all so heavily appointment focused, right? They all rely on appointments to get revenue and close deals. What do I think is the best one? Anything under home service. For example, the new agency we started, we were targeting a home service niche, right? You can go after roofers, home renovation, foundation companies, landscapers, hardscapers, all those types of businesses that charge high ticket services that range from anywhere from 5K to like 50 grand, because not only you provide them a ton of value if you're getting them leads and getting them appointments, but it's very easy for you to fulfill and have them satisfied. Because if you have a client paying you 5K a month, for example, or like most of the clients that we close for this new agency is 2K a month or 3K a month, and you get them a couple jobs that are worth 10, 20 grand, they're more than happy to stick with you and probably pay even more and increase ad spend and whatnot. And so that's why it's so valuable to work with these businesses that have such high ticket services, because you can get them a few jobs. And if you're making them 50 grand with 5 jobs, 10 grand a pop, that's the average that we see with the jobs we get these businesses, they're going to be more than happy to stick with you, right? So that's why it's all about leverage, right? Because you can spend the same amount of time working with med spas, for example, which I did in the very beginning, and you're only getting them jobs that are worth 3 to 500, and you have to get them 20 jobs or 20 clients or patients to equal 10 grand, right? At 500 a pop. Whereas with home service, we get them one job and it's worth 50%, and it's worth 10 grand and they profit 50%. And so it's it's just so much more leverage, right? And so it's just a way better use of your time, opportunity cost, right? The other thing you want to keep in mind is the company size, because do you want to be working with a business that's making 10 grand a month or making $1 million a month? Probably going to be the $1 million a month business, right? So that's why ideally with the home service businesses we're working with, we want them to be at least making 50 grand a month. That means they're at a good size, at least, to where they're usually profiting about 25 grand. They've got a bit of a decent crew in place, and they usually can take on quite a bit more jobs. Because if I'm speaking to a guy who's doing 10 grand a month, that's like one job a month, maybe two. Then if we were to get him 10 jobs per month, he wouldn't be able to handle it. And at that point, he could only probably handle an extra 2 to 3, which isn't very valuable. And he's probably, very early stages of the business. So we like to work with businesses doing at least 50K a month, all the way up to about 800 to a million a month. And so 800K to a million a month. And so that's the sweet spot that we see. How many employees do they have? We want them to have, at least if I'm going off their home service, have a crew, have a couple crews in place, so that if we send them a crap ton of estimates and jobs, like one of our clients, we got them 10 estimates in the last 48 hours. A person who's solo isn't going to be able to handle that. But a person that has some crews, they will. How many leads are they getting per day? Are they doing a couple estimates a day already? Are they already doing 30, 40, 50 estimates a month? I spoke to a business that was doing 400 estimates a month, and they were more than happy for us to get them an extra 20. And so it just depends. How many leads are they getting already? How many are you going to get them on top of that? What's the increase in terms of revenue, the increase in profits that they can expect working with you? And what is the ideal company size that you want to be working with? And then revenue and profit, right? These are very important, because revenue is great, but profit's way more important, right? And it's for a ballpark with these companies that we work with, they're usually profiting about 40, 50% of what they're making top line revenue. And so if they're making 100K a month, I know right away that they're usually profiting anywhere from 40 to 50K a month. And so that's pretty solid margins for a home service business, right? And so that's why I love working with them, because if we get them a job worth 10K, they profit about 4 to 5K off that. And it's very, very easy to make them satisfied and scale them. Now, what are the main pain points that you want to be solving with your offer? And when you're getting appointments for these businesses, there's usually a couple of main ones that you're going to be solving regardless, right? Speed to lead is going to be a big one. Slow sales process is going to be one as well. Missed calls. All of these are going to be kind of checked off. Bad lead follow-up system. These are all going to be checked off and solved with your offer, right? Lead flow is going to be improved. Qualification is going to be improved. Appointment booking rate is going to be improved. Conversion is going to be improved because you're handling the whole process, right? You're generating the leads, you're booking the estimates with the AI, and you're getting them those extra jobs. And so you're going to be solving a lot of those pain points. And the more pain points you can solve, the more appealing it's going to be to the business, and the more you're going to be able to charge, right? Pretty self-explanatory there. Now, when it comes to the pricing framework, how are we going to go about this, right? And so the use case is going to be a big factor here, because for us, for example, the new agency we set up 2 months ago, we are getting them new estimates, right? Getting them new jobs. We're getting them appointments. We're guaranteeing these appointments every month. And so when we're getting them appointments, that leads to more revenue, right? So in that case, we can charge a lot more. Whereas if you're building like a customer service AI agent, for example, it's less correlated to a direct tangible outcome for the business, right? Sure, you're automating their receptionist role or whatever the case may be. You're automating their inbound calls, but it's very difficult to put a specific dollar value on that in terms of the output they're going to get, right? Whereas with the appointments, if we're getting them 10 booked estimates per month, they're closing half, 10K a pop, they're making 50 grand, about 25K profit. Okay, we'll charge 3K a month, right? And so in that case, you will want to be charging according to one of these models here. As you can see, it's very clear which one's the sweet spot, which is going to be an upfront payment and a monthly retainer, right? And so the reason that is because you can do revenue share, you can do per appointment, but you're relying on the business a lot, right? To firstly be closing a lot of these deals, being honest with you about it. And per appointment, I don't love, right? So upfront payment, monthly retainer. So for us, what we're doing, if we're getting them 20 estimates per month, we're charging 2K per month. And if we're getting 50 estimates per month, we're charging 5K per month. And so that's kind of how we've been structuring it. And that way they pay up front their first installment, and then they also are paying a monthly retainer. And so you can't even do it where it's like 5K up front, 2K a month, 3K up front, 1,500 a month, something along those lines, where you're getting a large upfront payment for the setup, the build, and then you are charging a monthly retainer. So this is laying the foundation, and this is typically what you're going to want to keep in mind when you're setting this stuff up. Now let's get into the actual offer, right? So we already kind of discuss what the offer is going to consist of, right? But how do you actually structure this? We spoke about the deliverables somewhat, kind of what it consists of, but how are you actually going to structure the offer? You want to sell the outcome. These businesses, especially home service, they do not give a shit how we're getting them these estimates. They don't care how we're getting them these jobs. They just want to know what the outcome is, which is why in our ad we say, we'll get you 50 booked estimates per month guaranteed, or you don't pay. That's our offer. Simple as that. And that's why we are selling the outcome. It's very appealing to these businesses. 50 estimates per month guaranteed, or you don't pay. That's a great offer, a great way to catch attention, a great way to get people interested. And then what are these bonuses? The bonuses, right? These are things that you're most likely not going to have in the ad, but maybe in the copy, maybe in your sales funnel, on the sales call, that type of stuff. Seamless setup, free support for 30 days, AI personalization, those types of things, right? But the main thing is the outcome. You want to sell the outcome, because for the most part, these businesses don't really care how you do it. These guys will say it all the time. I don't care that you use AI. I don't care you use humans. I just care that you get us the result and you make us money. And then the risk reversal. If it doesn't perform, we will optimize it for free until it does. That's always the icing on the cake, especially if you don't have a lot of testimonials. And so when you're speaking to a business, if you present your whole offer, hey, we will get you 50 estimates per month, they're gonna be like, okay, that's cool, but what if you don't? That's why you have the risk reversal. And if we don't, we give you a refund. That's our guarantee, is we'll get you 20 estimates, 50 estimates per month, or you don't pay. We give you a full refund. And so that's the case. We're very confident that we can get that result for them. So we have no problem having a refund guarantee. Maybe you do one where we'll work with you for free for 30 months, or not 30 months, 30 days, or we'll work with you for free until we get you the results, or something along those lines. Now, when it comes to building the core infrastructure, there's a few main things, right? Of course, the funnel. The funnel is going to be a funnel to a opt-in page where you're collecting their information. And so they're going to click the ad, get brought to the funnel where they put in their name, email, phone number, and then they get brought to the qualification page where they're going to answer a couple questions, or maybe you have that qualification part of the lead form. So they're opting in, and then they're getting sent to a booking page where they are booking their call on the calendar. And then they get sent to a thank you page where it's going to tell them to accept their invitation, confirm they're going to show up, all that type of stuff. And then in terms of go high level, you have all the pipelines, the tags, the tracking, the booking automation, sending them testimonials, sending them content, email and text reminders, sending them a ton of content before the call to warm them up, prep them, and get them ready to close. And then nurturing automations, right? People opt into the lead form, but they don't book a call, right? There's going to be a large percentage that do that. And so you want to follow up with them, text, email, phone calls to continue to nurture them and book them in for calls. And we use AI to do that. We use an SMS AI bot called CloseBot to fully nurture all our leads, book them in. It books us a very good amount of appointments. We also use that exact same AI for our clients, which books them a ton of estimates. And then the ad side of things. So of course the ads, right? We're going to be building AI UGC creatives. You can be using things like ArcAds. We use a ton of Google Flow for building out our ads, and I'll actually show you what some of these look like here.
Waterproofing companies, we will get you 50 estimates per month, guaranteed, or you don't pay. Click learn more to see how.
Very simple. We use Google Flow to create all of those. And so we have a ton of different variations that we're testing out, a ton of different colors, all that type of stuff. And they do very, very well. ChatGPT to create the text, ChatGPT to create the headline, set up the pixel, dynamic audience, launch the campaign. Very, very simple. And if you want me to create a video walking through exactly how to set up that ad campaign, I'm more than happy to, but it's better to make it a separate video to go really in depth and just let me know. And then prepare lead magnets. You can do this for sure. Free scripts, free audits, free anything is always a great lead magnet, right? We used a free school community for a long time. We still do. And it was a very, very good lead magnet. And so that's the main parts of phase 2, crafting the offer and the assets. Now, getting into phase 3, the actual lead generation machine. This is where we're building the engine to actually generate the leads, right? This is kind of the main foundation of actually taking the steps to start generating the leads to lead to more revenue, booked calls. Most people don't even get this far. Most people give out. So please don't tap out. Please don't give up on this. So you're going to set up the ads kind of like I just showed you there. ChatGPT text, ChatGPT headlines, target based on your niche, retargeting setup once you're at scale, and optimize for cost per qualified booked appointment. Cost per lead is cool to look at, but it doesn't matter. Cost per acquisition is the main metric you're going to want to focus on. But in terms of just the leads, because that's also relying on the sales, cost per lead is cool. But the main thing you're going to want to focus on the lead side is cost per qualified booked appointment. That's going to be, in terms of just the lead generation side, that's the most important metric. And so if your cost per qualified booked appointment is amazing, but your cost per lead is high, you don't care. Don't worry about it. Now, the full lead journey, I kind of already went over this a little bit, but they click the ad, they go to the VSL opt-in page, they watch the VSL, they fill out the qualifying form. If they're disqualified, they go to the disqualification page. If they're qualified, they go to the calendar to book a slot. Confirmation email, immediate triage call, confirmation SMS, and the triager confirms and qualifies them, submits the pre-call info form, which is giving the closer all the information about the process, or about the prospect, before the call. And then it gives the prospect a qualification rating 1 out of 4 for the closer. And that way the closer knows background information about the prospect and what to expect in terms of their qualification rate. Now, inbound and outbound stacking. There's a few main ways that we're going to be generating leads, right? In terms of inbound, it's paid ads and organic content. That's your bread and butter. Organic content like this video right here. This video is probably going to get us some leads, maybe some booked calls and some qualified prospects. Organic content is great, building a personal brand, proof and testimonials, value content. This, for example, is value content. I'm breaking down a ton of information, and this is going to be what can generate a ton of leads and very good for nurturing. You're not going to expect to post a YouTube video and immediately get a ton of leads coming through. It's a slow process. It's a long-term play, but it is very, very effective and very helpful. And one of the best things we did for the business. Paid ads is our bread and butter. That's going to be the most scalable, the most predictable, and the most effective way to generate leads, because you can put $1 in, get $5 out, and know, okay, if I put $10 in, I'll get $50 out. Whereas with organic content, one video can crush it. One video could be slow. One video could get a ton of leads. One video could get a very little amount of leads, and it's very tough to predict. So that's why paid ads is so amazing. Then you also have the outbound side of things with manual DMs, cold emails, AI calls, all that type of stuff, which is cold outreach. It's not fun. It's a volume game. If you send 1,000 cold DMs, you will get booked calls, you will get clients. Most people give up. The first 6, 7 clients I got with my very first AI or my very first social media marketing agency was all done with cold DMs through Facebook. I would do that hours every day. It's not fun, but it works. Now, the nurturing and retargeting process. So you're going to have email and SMS sequences going out to these leads. You're going to have retargeting ads, which is just putting ads in front of people who have already opted into your lead list. You're going to have the AI calls going out, and you're going to have the daily follow-up triggers to be going out, triggering and letting your team know that, hey, I need to follow up with this lead again today, and making sure that you're on top of that at all times. Now, the lead generation machine is done. Let's move to phase 4 here, which is closing and fulfillment. Now we have leads coming through. Now it's a matter of how are we going to close these guys and actually get money in our pocket. So when it comes to closing, you're ideally going to want to do a 1-call close process, right? There's going to be a little testing with this because, for example, majority of the closes that we did were all Zoom calls. But when we started this new agency with home service, we realized the show rate was very low for Zoom calls. So we switched to phone calls. And that's how we closed every single client, was just over the phone, 20, 30-minute phone calls, and we closed them. And so as a closer, you're going to want to show up with the full triage report so you know what to expect of the prospect, how qualified they are, their goals, et cetera, et cetera. Position yourself as the authority Of course, right? You don't want them to be controlling the sales call. Build rapport, because at the end of the day, you need to be a human. You need to have a human connection with them. Show them that you're a real person. You're here to help, and build rapport with them. Then you're going to go through the discovery process, which is finding out finding out why are they even on the call? What are their goals? Why are they looking to solve this problem? What's the main problem that they're looking to solve? Why are they just trying to solve it now versus when it first came up? What pushed them to actually take action now? What's their goal with this? What's their dream outcome? And how can your solution be the thing that bridges the gap between their pain and their desired outcome? And that's when you transition to the pitch and show how your solution is the thing that can do that for them. And you're going to handle objections, right? Hey, I need to talk to my wife, my business partner, too much money, et cetera, et cetera. I have other videos going over specifically how to handle these objections. I won't spend too much time on it here. And then you're going to close the deal, collect the payment, submit the sales report form, and hand over to the CSM for onboarding. And so the CSM, you can see the process, right? So initially, the triager calls the lead, gets the information, submits a form. This form, the sales report form, or not the sales report form, the pre-call form is what is handing over the lead from the triager to the closer. And then when the closer closes the lead, the sales report form is what hands the now client over from the closer to the client success manager. And that's essentially, in a nutshell, what that process looks like. And that's why the forms and having all these systems are so important. Now, when it comes to fulfillment, there's a few ways you can go about it, right? One, which is what you're most likely going to do in the beginning, unless you pay somebody to do it, is do it yourself. So what most people do, right? It's kind of an inevitable phase. You can do it in the beginning. It's just not scalable, right? Once you have a ton of clients coming through and you're the only one, it's just not scalable. You're going to have to build a team, right? So you won't be able to do complex builds, a lot of tech stuff if you're not a tech person, etc. Option 2 is outsourcing. Fiverr, Upwork. It's pretty cheap. It's a bit risky, right? There's always risk with that, but it is a way to go to remove you from the process. And now option 3 is a specialized fulfillment partner. For example, us, we do the fulfillment for our clients. So when our clients close a deal, they know they have a reliable fulfillment source, which is us. They pay us a small percentage and our team of engineers does the whole build for them. They don't even need to worry about it. And if you want that, if you want to work directly with us, have us do fulfillment and help you build out this entire process here, absolutely everything, then click the link below, book a call, and we will help you scale. And so it's a very seamless process, hands off. They don't even need to worry about it. It's very repeatable and predictable. And then the delivery and the client success side, right? So this is what it looks like. They pay, then they get a welcome email directly with the onboarding form in it, extensive questions for the AI build. They submit the form and book their onboarding call with the solutions engineer. The solutions engineer reviews the onboarding form, has the onboarding call, begins the build and integration, does extreme testing with everything, launches the call, and then has a launch call with the client, trains the client on the basics of the build, and launches the AI build with them. Very, very simple. And that's phase 4, closing and fulfillment. Now we can get into the final phase here, which is scaling and building the machine. So this will usually be once you're at probably the 20K month mark, and it's time to start focusing on scaling. And so the first thing is building the team. You're not going to hire all these people at once, but if you work with us, we place all these people into your business for you. We have tons of amazing people in all these roles. But if not, you're just going to find them yourself, right? Triagers, usually the first hire, low cost, critical for high volume. And then also potentially a setter. These are kind of similar roles here for scaling, outbound communication. A closer won't be too usually until you're at like 40 to maybe 100K a month. Engineer, to handle the fulfillment. This will help you place pretty early on because that removes you from the fulfillment and you no longer need to rely on anybody else. You have your own internal engineer with a good fulfillment process. Then also a client success manager to onboard clients, handle communication, upsells, etc. And then automating operations. You're going to want to automate the onboarding process, have a ton of pre-built SOPs and trainings, set up the internal pipeline so that all the leads, triage, close, onboard, fulfill, success is a fully automated process. And you are essentially now really fulfilling the CEO role and removing yourself altogether. And then scaling the paid traffic side. You're going to spend more money on the winning ads, of course. You're going to split test a ton of funnels. Going to potentially add YouTube ads, Google ads, and add TikTok and Meta organic strategies in there. And then increasing MRR and LTV. You're going to add upsells. You're going to add more agents. You can upsell them on SEO type things. You can upsell them on, more paid ads, upsell them on funnel builds, website builds, more agents, inbound, outbound customer service. There's so many different things. And the more stuff you can upsell them on, you can increase monthly retainers, add referral programs, cross sells. If they need anything and you want to do it for them, put a price on it and do it. That's one thing we overlooked was in the very beginning, we would turn away people if they asked for something that was a bit outside what we did. Now we just say sure, and we pay somebody to do it, and then we keep the profit on it. And so those are the main ways you can increase MRR and LTV. And that's really phase 5, scaling and building the machine. And so this is a quick overview. There's so much more in-depth stuff we can do. I didn't want this video to be an hour long. This is really scraping the surface of each of these 5 areas here. But this is, in a nutshell, a quick overview of exactly what we did to collect over 600K with our first AI agency, start a brand new one just to show it's all about systems and it's not luck, scaled it to 25K in the last 2 months, and how we felt so many people do the exact same. And so if you want us to implement this system for you, click the link below, book a call. If you're a good fit, we will scale the crap out of your agency. And if not, have a great day and I'll see you in the next one.